this, it really ruined it for me. Like, I guess I'm not good at gauging how much I will like things. If this doesn't end up being a 5-star, I'll be really sad. Hi guys, welcome to another video. I hope you're doing well, and I am happy to see you back here. I have an itch. I have an itch that needs to be scratched, so that's what I'm attempting to do here. I have had a pretty good reading year so far, but most of them have stayed in about the 3 to 4 star range, and I'm tired of it. I want that 5-star read that hits you like a truck. I want that feeling. I want it now. I would like to be hit by a truck repeatedly. Yes, please, thank you. Basically, I got the idea from A Throne of Pages. I love her videos, and I really loved this idea, so I decided to shoot it for myself. I'm going to keep reading until I find a 5-star. Fingers crossed, because I have a variety of different types of picks. Let me show them to you now. Here are the 5 books that I decided to pick up for this. Let me tell you why I think they might be a 5-star. Okay, first we have 10,000 Things by Maria Jermut. I have this at the top of my list because I found it at a thrift store, and it's just been calling to me ever since. I just have this feeling deep inside that I really need to read it, and so this is also probably what I'm going to start with. But it is about a little girl who grows up in the Dutch East Indies. Basically, it's semi-autobiographical of the author. I'm very much looking forward to it. Next, we have good old Mary Oliver, Upstream. I've been seeing this everywhere. I've been really excited to pick it up because I've heard that it's super enjoyable. It's just a collection of essays that Mary Oliver has written over her career about nature and authors. I think she writes about like Walt Whitman and Edgar Allan Poe and things like that. So we'll see if I pick these up. I haven't read an essay collection in a really long time, so I'm hoping that this one turns out pretty well. If that doesn't work, Fever Dream by Samantha Schweblin. I think that it has the potential to be a 5-star because I have only ever heard good things about her writing. If that doesn't work, this is where we bring out the big guns. I picked some really, I picked some 5-star predictions, and then I picked some almost 5-star guarantees for the end. And so I'm bringing out Be Not Afraid of Love by Mimi Sue. This is a recounting and analyzation of love and relationships and emotions through a very radical and queer lens. I feel like books about love tend to be so kind of like centered into romantic relationships and centered into heteronormative relationships. Even All About Love by Bell Hooks was like that, which is why I was actually super disappointed with that book. So I'm picking this one up in an attempt to combat that disappointment and find something that was actually what I was searching for when I read All About Love. If this is not a 5-star, I will be heartbroken because I have a feeling in my gut different from the first feeling in my gut that was telling me to read the first book, The 10,000 Things. This is a different feeling. I have a feeling in my gut that this is going to change my life. So if it doesn't turn out to be a 5-star read, I guess life has changed my 4-star reads too, okay? 4-star reads matter. Not in this video though. Alright, if we still can't find a 5-star by that time, then I have Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. It's just big, it's thick, and the writing is really small. So, a postmodern visionary who is also a master of style and genres, David Mitchell combines flat-out adventure and Nabokovian love of puzzles, a keen eye for character, and a taste for mind-bending philosophical and scientific speculation. The result is brilliantly original fiction that reveals how disparate people connect, how their fates intertwine, and how their souls drift across time like clouds across the sky. It's got that whole like multiple stories weaving into one thing that I really like. So I picked up David Mitchell, and I've heard that he's got hands, so hopefully that is the case. Finally, we're bringing out the big guns. There's just no way that I will be able to read Rilke's arguably best work and not think that it's stunning. This is like the kill shot. This is my saving grace. If none of those books are 5 stars, I'll be so sad that I'll need this book to help me heal, help me recover from the pain of disappointment. Let's see how this goes. Let's do a little update on my search for a 5-star. So the first book that I picked up, 10,000 Things, I had a feeling about it. I was really excited. I do think I enjoyed it. It was good. Only ended up being around a 3-star though. It's very much so about like the cyclical nature of things and how everything is intertwined and connected. And I really appreciate things like that. The stories like that comfort me a lot. But so like the first half of the book is one single narrative, and then halfway through it suddenly switches into 3 short stories about other people in the world, and I just felt like I was really starting to like the book when it suddenly changed. I did end up marking a few pages. The settings were very evocative. It just really, it felt kind of white. I mean, it is kind of white. It's about a lady from Holland who grew up in the Dutch East Indies, semi-autobiographical, and she's not like openly racist or anything, like nothing like to that severity happens, but you very clearly see the distinct difference in the class of people that she focused the book on, because, and most likely because those were the people that she encountered, but it wasn't about the people of Indonesia. It wasn't, the people of Indonesia were an afterthought, so it kind of just put a sour taste in my mouth. It just like, it really didn't hit. It didn't, you know the feeling that I'm talking about, when you close the book and you feel like your entire world has been completely shifted in whatever way, but like that 5-star feeling, that's what I'm looking for, and this definitely was not it. So what I picked up next actually ended up being Upstream by Mary Oliver. This has the potential to be a 5-star if it is all written by, like the her essay of Power and Time in here. If the majority of these essays end up being like that, easy 5-star, absolutely.
You've got a big storm coming.
It really leans into like long form free verse poetry more so than actual essays. We will see if it ends up being 5-star. This I watched Emmy's video about it, and in it she talks about how she didn't understand the like cognitive dissonance of this woman eating meat, but then also talking about how much she admires the wilderness and nature and animals and these things. I think that you can still, you know, appreciate the life cycle of animals and reduce your harm that you do by properly sourcing the things that you eat and stuff. Anyways. I was going along, everything was doing okay, and then literally suddenly she's like, yeah, and then I went back to where I saw these turtle lay some eggs, and I dug them up, and then I ate them, and I scrambled them. That's what she says. She doesn't talk about it with any reverence. She doesn't talk about it with any, like, care. She's like, yeah, and then I went and took the turtle eggs, and I ate them, and it was good. She, like, the sentence that she says is, like, literally, I scrambled them. They were a meal. They were not that good. They were rich. That's what she says. Like, it's not like she's taking moments to thank the turtle or whatever. Like, and then in the, like, literal next paragraph proceeds to talk about how there aren't those turtles in the area that she took those eggs from anymore. And, like, I know that there is my own cognitive dissonance because knowing exactly where your meat comes from prevents, you know, like, apathy, and prevents, like, the meat industry from taking advantage of you, blah blah blah, all of these things about, you know, properly sourcing meat and animal products. But, like, she doesn't talk about it like that, and she does not acknowledge how these, like, ethical practices of consumption come from indigenous people. Like, she kind of, like, takes them as her own and says, these are my rules, these are the things that I do. But those types of lifestyles and feelings towards animals were created by indigenous people. And so to think that the way that you treat meat is because you have a special perspective is very, it's just very white. And that happened, like, here. You see there's, like, a line where there's, like, a bunch of tabs and then there's, like, way less tabs. That's because that's after the story started. Because, like the next portions of her book are like analyzations of Walt Whitman and Ralph Waldo Emerson and Poe, and every other sentence, like, I just am imagining her being like, oh, da this amazing internal world of Edgar Allan Poe's, and then her taking a bite of scrambled turtle eggs. It really ruined it for me. Like, I don't. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe that's just a me problem. You know the finger bump, when your finger is too high over the thing that you're using to underline, and then your pen goes around it. I am sad to report to you that Upstream was a massive failure, actually. I ended up giving this 1 star. Like, all she had to do was take out literally, like, 4 or 5 paragraphs in the whole thing. Just literally not share some of the things in here, and it would have been okay. It would have been fine. It would have been great. I would have really enjoyed it. It probably would have been a really solid 3, but no, it's a 1. It's a 1. I didn't like it. It started out really good, and then it just, like, it went downhill from there. 1 star. 1 star. It's a 1 star for me. Thanks. Okay, I already picked up and finished the next one in my list for my 5 star, and it was good. At least it wasn't a 1 star, but it was not a 5 star. Next, I picked up Fever Dream by Samantha Schweblin, but I did quite enjoy it. I thought that it was very smart. It's very experimental in its portrayal of the purpose that it has. I felt like the purpose was hidden under layers and layers and layers of character details. But like in a good way. I mean, like, I sat down and I read the whole thing in one sitting. It really did completely absorb me, which is, I feel like, hard to do. I get burnt out doing the same thing, like, for too long. So I'm very, like, I will read 10 pages and then I will go do something. And then I'll read another 10 pages. And it just helps me read more and helps me not get burnt out on reading more. But I did sit down and read this entire thing in one sitting because of how much it absorbed me. And it was really good. So I would give it maybe a 3.75, but I could give it a 4 because it was really enjoyable. The building, it almost felt like I was watching a psychological horror movie, especially because I was able to sit down and read it in one sitting. Like, the progression of it felt like the progression of sitting down and watching a psychological thriller did. And so, like, that it was really interesting like that because I've never had a book feel like a movie like that. Close. Meh. Not as close. Not as close as... What the hell did I read first? What the hell did I read first? I don't remember. I don't even remember what I read first. I guess I'm not good at gauging how much I will like things. That's a hard thing. I just feel like what I like depends on my mood. And so, like, what am I in the mood for right now? I don't know. It changed like 3 days ago. So how am I supposed to properly gauge what I'm going to like? How long is it going to take me to read the book? What am I going to do when I get bored of the concept in the middle because I get bored of the hyperfixation that I had that urged me to read the book in the first place? That's why it's just such a hard thing. It's always a gamble. It's always... hopefully the next one that I'm picking up is a 5-star. If not, I will actually be sad. That book is Be Not Afraid of Love by Mimi Sue. I've really been into reading books about love. Last year I read All About Love by Bell Hooks, and I read Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. And there are a couple of others that I have been meaning to get to. But this one specifically has really struck a chord with me. All About Love by Bell Hooks, it fell super flat to me. It existed very much within the gender binary, which I didn't like. I felt like it was missing entire sections because, like, she was just trying to narrow things down so simply. I did love it. There were a lot of things that stuck out to me about All About Love, but in the end, it didn't leave me with that understanding and that furthering of my own perspective of love that I have been looking for in my search for books about love. And so I'm hoping that this is the gem that I have been looking for. If this doesn't end up being a 5-star, I'll be really sad. I had lots of reading time last night. Got through the preface and the introduction, and I didn't manage to get any further than that. And I woke up this morning, I was like, why didn't I read anymore? And honestly, I think I'm afraid. I have a feeling after just the first few pages that this is going to be an experience. And one that I won't forget. Perhaps being in community isn't as much about creating a utopia as it is about allowing space for complexity and celebrating those meeting places. When we are in communion, we create millions of unique points that dot the sky in shimmering constellations. We dance around one another like shimmering mirrors and watch how all our pains and our joys combined. At our most joyful, we experience moments of synthesis. At our messiest, we are given raw opportunities to learn and unlearn many complexities, and to guide one another and ourselves in an intertwining process. Through meaningful relationships, we are forced to be honest with ourselves and one another, and that is an act of love. We are taught how to set boundaries, how to hold ourselves accountable, heal interdependently, and communicate effectively in myriad ways. Being human is ever complex, and being queer means to be in perpetual metamorphosis. In communion, we hold one another through fear and emerge from it in rapturous song and dance. Hi guys. Here to report from the other side that we have officially found our 5-star. There she is. She's beautiful. She is annotated to the brim. And I come to a changed person. I really do. Which, you know, I guess was the point of all those jokes that I was making earlier. Read this book. Be Not Afraid of Love is everything that any new age spiritual book might pretend to be, but it goes beyond that because it takes into account the socio-political situations of our society and the way that we live and how that impacts the way that we love as well as the way that our internal world. It's such a beautiful cross-section, and I had to stop after every chapter and take moments to process because I felt like I was being like scrubbed clean. It was with a gentle hand though. The way that Mimi talks about love is radical and revolutionary and all of those stereotypical words that you see in the reviews for this book, but the book itself is a tool to be used to make change in all different kinds of ways, and that's so, it's mind-boggling, honestly, to me. It's the kind of thing that makes me want to sit down and write my feelings out in the hope that it will impact somebody else as much as this has impacted me. I feel like it's easy to talk about the things that we care about individually. It's easy to, oh, here's what I think about the emotion anger. Here is what I think about this show. Here, to so thoroughly communicate the togetherness which everything resides in. It's reading is special. Literature is impactful, and when we read things that we know will impact us, even if they seem intimidating or scary, or even if we feel like we aren't ready, it's worth it to take the plunge anyway because of how transformative of an experience it can be. I have had this book on my shelf since October, and honestly, I probably could have used it back then too, but I felt like I wasn't ready for the experience that Be Not Afraid of Love was going to give to me, and I wasn't. But are we ever really ready for anything? I'm starting to believe no. We just have to do it. That's why I'm sitting here in front of this camera now, at least. Don't wait. Don't wait on your 5 stars. Don't let anything stop you from finding the books that will change your entire life.